The hospital bracelet presses uncomfortably into my wrist as I shift Rose in my arms, struggling to insert my key into the lock. It refuses to turn. I try again, my hands shaking from exhaustion and the lingering effects of painkillers. Still. Nothing. Come on, I whisper, twisting the key with more force. Rose shifts in my arms, her little face contorting in protest. Just 3 days old, and she already has Jake's frown. My phone buzzes in my coat pocket, and seeing Jake's name on the screen fills me with a rush of relief. He must have seen me on the doorbell camera. The text message is brief but cutting. I've changed the locks. I filed for divorce. Don't try to come in. My lawyer will contact you. I read it over and over, each word hitting harder than the last. The diaper bag slips from my shoulder, falling with a quiet thud onto the porch, our porch, the one Jake insisted we needed when we bought this house 2 years ago. This can't be happening, I mutter aloud, but my voice sounds distant, unfamiliar. Rose whimpers, sensing my distress. I gently bounce her, instinctively rocking her while my mind races. I ring the doorbell once, twice, 3 times quickly. "Jake!" I shout, loud enough for Pat next door to peek through her curtains. "Open the door." Silence greets me, but I see his car in the driveway. He's inside, probably watching me through the security cameras he set up last summer, watching his wife and newborn daughter locked out of their own home. My phone buzzes again. "Stop making a scene. Go to your parents, you coward." The words break from my lips, raw with anger. You couldn't even face me. Couldn't wait until the stitches healed. More curtains twitch along the street, adding to the perfect suburban picture. The woman standing on the doorstep, unhinged, clutching her baby. I can already feel the neighborhood gossip swirling pitying glances, whispered conversations. Rose starts crying now, her little fists clenched against my chest. The sound cuts through my fury, replacing it with something colder, harder. "Okay, baby girl," I murmur, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Okay, we're going." With one hand, I manage to lift the diaper bag, my body protesting every movement. The hospital discharge papers had emphasized rest, recovery, and bonding with the baby, but they hadn't covered what to do when your husband locks you out 3 days after giving birth. My hands tremble as I dial Anne's number. She picks up immediately. "Ava, honey, aren't you supposed to be home by now?" "Mom?" My voice cracks. "Can you come get us?" "Please? Us? What do you mean? Where's Jake?" I glance up at our bedroom window where I just saw the curtain move. "He's inside. He changed the locks. He wants a divorce." The silence on the other end stretches out. A heavy pause. "Your father and I are leaving right now," she finally says, her voice taut with controlled rage. "Don't move." I end the call and look down at Rose, who has settled into hiccuping sleep, her eyes squeezed shut, her face red with effort. She looks nothing like Jake, I realize with sudden fierce gratitude. She's all me, my nose, my chin, my dark hair. It's just us now. I tell her, sinking down onto the porch step. My body aches inside and out, but something else is building beneath the pain, something that tastes like metal and promises. But don't worry, Daddy's going to regret this every single day for the rest of his life. Behind me, the curtain twitches again. Let him watch, let him wonder. He has no idea what I'm capable of, but he's about to find out. My childhood bedroom feels like a time capsule, frozen in the amber of teenage dreams. Sitting on the narrow twin bed, I watch Anne rock Rose while Tom paces, his work boots leaving scuff marks on the carpet he promised to replace 15 years ago. "He can't do this, Tom," says for the 10th time. "You just had a baby, for Christ's sake." "Tom," Anne's voice carries that familiar warning tone. "Not now." I traced the faded outline of an old band poster on the wall, remembering how Jake had laughed when he first saw this room. "It's like a shrine to your youth," he'd said. Now I wonder if he'd been mocking me even then. I need my things, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounds. My clothes, Rose's nursery stuff, everything we bought for her. Tom stops pacing. I'll go over there right now. No. The word comes out sharper than intended. He's probably expecting that. Besides, he's already texted twice saying he'll call the police if anyone tries to enter the house. Anne's face hardens. That little, I remind her, nodding at Rose. She's already learned the F word from Tom's outburst in the car. The attempt at humor falls flat. Anne shifts Rose to her other shoulder, and I catch a glimpse of my daughter's peaceful face. She's the only one sleeping soundly tonight. Remember when I told you he was controlling? I say, picking at a loose thread on the bedspread. How he wanted me to quit my job because one of us should be home with the baby. Tom's hands clench into fists. Should have seen it then, the way he isolated you. Tom, Anne interrupts again, but gentler this time. Ava needs solutions, not recriminations. My phone buzzes. Another text from Jake. Your mother's car is still in our driveway. Move it or I'll have it towed. Our driveway, I mutter. The house is in both our names. I checked the deed when we bought it. Anne and Tom exchange a look I can't quite read. There's something else, I say, the words bitter in my mouth. Something I never told anyone. 3 months ago, when I was on bed rest, I found something on his laptop. The rocking chair creaks as Anne leans forward. What was it? Emails, dozens of them, to someone named Mia. My throat tightens. They were intimate, but when I confronted him, he said I was being paranoid, hormonal, that stress wasn't good for the baby. Son of a... Tom starts, but Anne cuts him off with a sharp look. And you believed him? She asks carefully. I wanted to. The admission hurts. God, I wanted to. We had the nursery already, and the doctor said any stress could trigger early labor, and I swallow hard. I convinced myself I was wrong. The silence that follows feels heavy with unspoken accusations. Not against me. My parents would never, but against themselves, against Jake, against the whole situation. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Beth, Jake's mother. We need to talk. Jake says you're being unreasonable. Call me. I turn the phone face down. His mother thinks I'm the problem, always has. Beth can go. Tom starts. Tom! Anne's exclamation startles Rose, who whimpers in her sleep. We all freeze, waiting to see if she'll wake fully. She settles after a moment, and Anne continues in a whisper. We need a plan, a lawyer, first thing tomorrow. I nod, but my mind is already racing ahead, beyond lawyers, beyond divorce papers, to the laptop I'd seen Jake carefully pack in his briefcase every morning, to the emails I'd only skimmed before guilt and fear made me close them. You're right, I say. We need a lawyer here, but first, I need to get back into that house. Ava? Tom's tone is warning. Not to stay, I assure him. Just long enough to get what belongs to me. And maybe... I let the thought trail off, but I can feel something crystallizing inside me, something cold and precise like a surgeon's blade. Anne studies my face for a long moment. Whatever you're thinking, she says finally, be careful. Men like Jake, they don't handle losing control well. I meet her gaze. Good, I say, because control is exactly what I'm going to take from him. The coffee shop across from Jake's office feels like neutral ground, though my hands tremble as I watch Mia approach. She's just as I remember from the company Christmas party last year, tall, poised, impeccably put together, the type of woman who never has spit up on her blouse or dark circles under her eyes. I wasn't sure you'd come, I say as she slides into the seat across from me. Mia places her phone face up on the table, its screen dark. I wasn't sure I should, she replies, her voice steady, though her fingers drum nervously on the table. Jake told everyone at work you had a mental breakdown after the baby. The words hit me like a slap. I focus on stirring my untouched coffee, watching the cream swirl in the dark liquid. Did he mention changing the locks while I was still in the hospital? He said you left him, she says, her eyes narrowing slightly. That you took the baby and refused to come home. A bitter laugh rises in my throat, sharp as the coffee. Is that what he told you? Want to see the texts? Before she can respond, her phone lights up. Jake's name flashes on the screen. Mia's hand twitches toward it, but she doesn't pick up. How long? I ask softly. 8 months. She won't meet my eyes. He said you were distant, that the pregnancy was straining your marriage, that you didn't want. I was on bed rest, I interrupt, with preeclampsia, fighting to keep our baby alive, while he was. The words stick in my throat. Her phone buzzes again. This time she turns it face down. He's checking up on you, I observe. Does he do that often? Something flickers in her expression, recognition, perhaps, or fear. You don't know him like I do. No, I reply. I thought I knew him better. The barista calls out another order, making Mia jump. Her composure cracks for just a moment, but it's enough. I see what I was hoping for. He's controlling, isn't he? I keep my tone gentle. Wants to know where you are, who you're talking to, gets angry when things don't go his way? She stares down at her hands. You don't understand. He's under a lot of pressure. The merger at work, the Morrison deal. Her head snaps up. How did you... I used to work in marketing, remember? Before Jake convinced me to quit. I lean in. Tell me, Mia, does he ever ask you to help with sensitive information? Client details, maybe? The color drains from her face. I should go. He's using you, I say quietly, just like he used me. And when he's done, stop. She stands up abruptly, grabbing her phone. This was a mistake. Mia. I reach into my bag and pull out a manila envelope. Before you go, these are copies of emails I found between Jake and the CEO of the Morrison Group, dated 3 months before the merger was announced. Her hands tremble as she takes the envelope. Insider trading is a federal crime, I continue. So is using privileged information from a romantic partner to facilitate it. She sinks back into her seat. How did you... Jake isn't as careful as he thinks. Not with his laptop password, not with his affairs. I push my coffee aside. He's going to destroy you, Mia. The only question is whether you let him. Her phone buzzes again. This time, when she looks at it, I see tears in her eyes. What do you want? She whispers. Your help. I pull out another envelope, thicker than the first. These are all the emails between you and Jake. Every meeting, every promise, every lie. I'm going to send them to Beth, his mother, his boss, to everyone. You'll ruin him. No, I correct her. We will. Unless what? Unless he gives me what I want. Full custody of Rose, the house, a fair settlement. I meet her gaze steadily. And a written confession about the Morrison deal. Mia's phone buzzes one last time. She stares at it for a long moment, then shuts it off completely. Tell me everything, she says. I smile, feeling the pieces of my plan falling into place. I thought you'd never ask. The first contraction hits while I'm sorting through the evidence against Jake. Anne finds me doubled over my laptop, breathing through gritted teeth. It's nothing, I tell her. Just after-birth cramps. She takes one look at my face and picks up Rose from her bassinet. I'm calling Dr. Reynolds. Mom, I'm fine. You're not fine. Her voice carries that familiar steel. You haven't slept in 3 days. You're obsessing over those emails instead of recovering. Your body is telling you to stop. The pain subsides, leaving me shaky. On my screen, dozens of emails between Jake and Mia blur together. 8 months of lies, of carefully orchestrated meetings, of promises I now know he never intended to keep. My phone lights up with a text from Beth. Family dinner tonight. No excuses. We need to discuss the situation like adults. She still thinks she can fix this, I mutter, showing Anne the message. Beth always did prefer fantasy to reality. Anne shifts Rose to her shoulder, studying me. Like mother, like son. Another contraction rips through me, stronger this time. I can't hide the grimace. That's it. Anne grabs my phone. I'm calling. A knock at the door cuts her off. Through the window, I glimpse Jake's Tesla in the driveway. Don't, I warn as Anne moves toward the door. He isn't supposed to be here. Good. She hands me Rose. Then I can tell him exactly what I think. Mom, I cradle Rose close, breathing through another wave of pain. Please, let me handle this. She hesitates, then nods. I'll be right upstairs. Jake doesn't wait for an invitation. After she opens the door, he strides in like he owns the place, all Brooks Brothers suit and careful casualness. You met with Mia, he says without preamble. Hello to you too. I focus on Rose's warm weight against my chest, using it to steady myself. Missing your girlfriend already? His jaw tightens. Whatever she told you. She showed me everything, Jake. The lie comes easily. The Morrison deal, the insider trading, all of it. Color drains from his face. You're bluffing. Another contraction hits. I turn away, using the moment to hide my reaction. Want to risk your career on that bet? You can't prove anything. Can't I? I meet his eyes. Your laptop password is still Rose's due date. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? He takes a step forward. If you breathe a word of this, you'll... The pain makes my voice sharper. Lock me out again? Try to take my daughter? Go ahead. See what happens when I send those emails to the SEC. You wouldn't dare. But there's fear in his voice now. You'll destroy everything. Our savings, Rose's future. You destroyed that when you changed the locks. Another contraction, worse than before. I grip the back of the couch. Get out. We need to talk about this. Get out. He moves closer instead. You're not thinking clearly. The hormones... Don't... The word comes out as a gasp. Don't you dare try to... The room tilts suddenly. I hear Anne calling my name from upstairs, feel Rose being lifted from my arms. Jake's face swims in my vision, concern replacing anger. You're bleeding, he says, and for a moment he sounds like the man I married. Jesus, Ava, you're... The world goes dark around the edges. The last thing I see is Jake reaching for his phone, panic finally cracking his perfect facade. This changes nothing, I try to say, but the words slip away as consciousness fades. I wake to hospital lights and Anne's worried face. No Jake, no Rose. Where's... I start. She's fine, Anne says quickly. Tom has her. The doctors say you pushed yourself too hard. The stress, the lack of sleep. Jake... Her expression hardens. Gone. But he took copies of your files first. The monitors beep faster as realization hits. He knows I was bluffing, knows I don't have proof yet. Mom, I whisper. I need my phone. She hands it over wordlessly. One new message from Mia. He knows, but I have something better, something real. Meet me tomorrow. I close my eyes, feeling the game shift beneath my feet. The stakes just got higher and I'm running out of time. Mia's hands tremble as she slides the USB drive across the diner table. The rain outside hammers against the windows, blurring the world into a wash of gray. My stitches pull sharply with every movement, a constant reminder of last week's hospital stay. He'll know it was me, she whispers, her eyes flicking nervously over her shoulder at the nearly empty restaurant. No, he won't. I slip the drive into my pocket without glancing at it. As far as Jake knows, you're still his loyal girlfriend. Her laugh is empty without humor. Girlfriend? Is that what he calls me? Among other things. I keep my voice steady, watching her closely. Beth mentioned you at the hospital. Said Jake was planning to introduce you to the family soon. Mia's face falls. He told me he already had. A waitress steps toward us, but I signal for her to leave us be. What's on the drive? Everything. Mia grips her untouched coffee, her fingers pale against the porcelain. The Morrison deal was just the start. There are offshore accounts, shell companies, client info he shouldn't have access to. My phone buzzes, Jake's name flashing across the screen with a text. Where are you? We need to talk about Rose's custody arrangement, I show Mia the message. He's getting desperate, I murmur. You don't know the half of it. She leans in, her voice low. Yesterday, he asked me to sign some documents, backdated contracts, trying to make it look like I was involved in legitimate consulting work, setting you up to take the fall. She shakes her head, tears welling. Just like his last assistant, the one who suddenly resigned and moved to Seattle. The pieces begin to fall into place. How many others? 3 that I know of. All women, all gone within months of big deals. She wipes her eyes. I thought I was different. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Beth. Having dinner at our house tonight, 7 p.m., no excuses. Time to end this foolishness. They're closing ranks, I mutter, mostly to myself. They think they can still control this. Jake says his father has connections at the SEC, Mia adds, her voice dropping. That nothing will stick. Even if... The diner door chimes, and Mia freezes mid-sentence, her face draining of color. I turn to see Jake's father, Bill, entering, shaking rain from his umbrella. He followed me, Mia whispers. Oh God. Leave now. Back door. I slide out of the booth, positioning myself between Mia and Bill's view. I'll handle this. She hesitates. The drive. We'll be safe. Go. I watch her slip away as Bill spots me, his practiced smile not quite reaching his eyes. Ava, he says, approaching my table like this is a casual meeting. What a surprise. Is it? I gesture to the seat across from me. Or did Jake's tracking app tell you exactly where to find us? His smile stiffens. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Am I? Tell me, does Beth know about the other women or just the ones Jake brought home? You're upset, hormonal. He leans in, lowering his voice. Think about Rose, her future. Jake is willing to be generous. Generous? The laugh escapes before I can stop it. Like he was with his last assistant, the one who resigned? For a brief moment, Bill's composure falters. Be very careful, Ava. Some accusations can't be taken back. My phone buzzes again. Jake's message. Dad says you're being difficult. Don't make this messier than it needs to be. I stand up, ignoring the pull of stitches. Tell your son I'll see him in court. And Bill, that tracking app works both ways. Tell Jake to check his phone's location history for the night before Rose was born, specifically the Marriott downtown. Bill's expression gives away everything, confirming what Mia said about Jake's other girlfriend, the one even she didn't know about. This isn't over, Bill calls as I head for the door. No, I agree, thinking of the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket. It's just beginning. Outside, the rain has turned into thunder. Perfect weather for what's coming next. Beth's dining room feels like a courtroom, with Jake at one end of the table and me at the other. Rose sleeps in her carrier beside me, oblivious to the tension crackling through the room. The USB drive is heavy in my pocket, a loaded gun waiting to be fired. We're here to be reasonable, Beth says, passing a casserole dish that no one touches, to find a solution that works for everyone, especially Rose. Bill adds, his warning from the diner still fresh in my mind. Jake hasn't looked at me once since I arrived. His attention stays fixed on his phone, thumbs typing rapidly, probably messaging Mia, who hasn't responded to any of his texts since our meeting. I have a solution, I say, keeping my voice steady. Full custody of Rose, the house, and Jake's resignation from the firm. Water splashes as Jake's hand jerks, knocking over his glass. You've lost your mind. Have I? I pull out my phone, scroll to a specific email. Should we discuss the Marriott or maybe the offshore accounts? Bill's fork clatters against his plate. Beth freezes mid-reach for the salt. You're bluffing, Jake says, but his face has gone pale. You don't have anything. Room 847. I meet his eyes for the first time. The night before I went into labor. You weren't at a client meeting, were you? That's enough. Beth cuts in. Jake, what is she talking about? Nothing, he snaps. She's desperate, making things up like the Morrison deal. I pull out the USB drive, set it on the table between us. Or the shell companies, or what happened to your last 3 assistants. The silence that follows feels like glass about to shatter. You talked to Mia. Jake's voice has gone dangerously quiet. Someone had to. He laughs, the sound sharp and ugly. You think you've won something here that you can threaten me? Jake, Bill warns, but Jake is already standing, looming over the table. You want to play this game? He pulls out his own phone. Fine. Let's talk about your medical records, the medication you're on, the hospital visit last week. How stable do you think you'll look to a custody judge? My hands start to shake. You wouldn't. Or maybe we should discuss your family history, the depression, the anxiety. His smile turns cruel. Did you know postpartum psychosis runs in families? Mom, Beth gasps. Bill reaches for Jake's arm, but he shakes it off. One call to child services, Jake continues. One suggestion that you're not fit. Rose wakes with a cry, startled by the tension in the room. I reach for her automatically, but Jake is faster. Don't touch her. He snatches the carrier away. In fact, don't come near her, not until we've had her evaluated, made sure your instability hasn't. That's enough. Beth stands so quickly her chair topples backward. Jake, stop this immediately. But the damage is done. The room spins as Jake's words sink in. He knows exactly where to hit, which fears to exploit. One phone call, one suggestion of instability, and everything I fought for could vanish. You're right, I whisper, surprising everyone, including myself. I'm not stable. I'm angry, hurt, betrayed. I meet Jake's triumphant gaze. But at least I'm not a criminal. Before anyone can react, I grab the USB drive and my phone. Check your email, all of you, including the board of directors at Jake's firm. I sent everything 10 minutes ago when I sat down. Jake lunges for his phone, but it's too late. The notifications are already flooding in. You'll never see Rose again, he snarls, clutching the carrier closer. Maybe. My voice breaks as I back toward the door. But neither will you, once the SEC finishes their investigation. I turn and walk out, my daughter's cries following me into the night. It feels like leaving part of my soul behind. But I know it's temporary. Jake might have won this battle, but the war is just beginning, and I finally learned to fight as dirty as he does. The SEC agents arrive at Jake's office exactly at noon. I watch from across the street as they enter the building, their dark suits stark against the glass doors. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing since dawn. Calls from Beth, from Bill, from Jake's lawyer. I ignore them all. Mia meets me at the coffee shop downstairs, her face drawn. They're questioning everyone. The whole trading floor is shut down. Good. I check my watch. How long until the building's fire alarm? Cut me off. Employees stream out onto the sidewalk, many still clutching their phones and laptops. Jake emerges last, flanked by 2 agents. Even from here, I can see the fury in his stride. He's looking for you, Mia whispers. Let him look. As if hearing us, Jake's head snaps up. Our eyes meet through the crowd. For a moment, I see the man I married, the one who held my hand through fertility treatments, who painted the nursery 3 different shades of yellow until we found the perfect one. Then his lips curl into a snarl, and the illusion shatters. "You ruined everything," he shouts, shoving past the agents. "You stupid, vindictive—" "Mr. Harrison," one agent grabs his arm. "We're not finished." "The hell we're not!" Jake wrenches free, stalking toward me. "You think this makes you powerful? You think you've won?" Mia shrinks back, but I stand my ground. "Where's Rose?" "Safe, away from you." His laugh sounds unhinged. "You'll never see her again. I've made sure of that." A cold feeling slides down my spine. What does that mean? "It means I protected my daughter from you, from your instability." He leans closer, voice dropping. "Check your email. The emergency custody order just went through based on your concerning behavior." My hands shake as I pull out my phone. The legal document fills the screen, words jumping out like accusations. Mental health concerns, family history, recent erratic behavior. "You can't." "I can. I did." His smile widens. "And while you were playing detective with your little USB drive, I was moving assets. Good luck proving anything now." Something clicks. The offshore accounts. "You transferred everything." "Everything." He straightens his tie. "The SEC won't find anything, and you won't get a penny. But hey, at least you got your revenge, right?" The agents approach again, more insistent this time. Jake turns to go, triumphant. "You forgot something," I call after him. He pauses. "What?" "The video." I hold up my phone. "Of you just now, admitting to moving assets during an active investigation. And this." I pull out a second USB drive. The real evidence. Everything Mia gave me was a copy. Did you really think I'd send the originals without backup? The color drains from his face. "You're bluffing again." "Check your phone. The video is already uploaded to your family's group chat." "Hi, Beth." I wave at my mother-in-law, who stands frozen across the street, her own phone in hand. "I thought you should see who your son really is." The agents are close enough now to hear everything. One reaches for the USB drive, the other takes Jake's arm again, firmer this time. "Oh, and Jake." I step closer, voice soft. "That custody order?" "My lawyer filed an emergency appeal an hour ago, with testimony from your other girlfriends. All of them, even the ones I didn't know about until Mia did some digging." His facade finally cracks. "You can't prove—" "Watch me." The agents lead him away, past Beth's shocked face, past the crowd of whispering employees. Mia touches my arm. "What now?" My phone buzzes with a text from my lawyer. "Appeal granted. Emergency hearing in 1 hour. Bring everything now." "I get my daughter back," I say, watching Jake's retreating back, and he learns what it feels like to lose everything he loves. "Was it worth it?" Mia asks quietly. "The revenge." I think of Rose, of the life Jake tried to steal from us. "Ask me tomorrow, after I hold my daughter again." The sirens fade into the distance as I head toward the courthouse, leaving the ruins of Jake's carefully constructed world behind. The house key clicks into place in the new locks, the sound sharp and satisfying. Behind me, Anne carries Rose's car seat, and Tom hauls boxes from the moving truck. The late afternoon sun catches the fresh coat of blue paint on the front door, a stark contrast to Jake's preferred beige. "Last box," Tom announces, setting it down in the foyer. "Unless you want us to stay and help unpack?" I shake my head, watching Rose sleep soundly in her carrier. "We've got this, right, little one?" Anne pauses by the door, concern flickering in her eyes. "The hearing tomorrow is just a formality." I manage a smile, the weight of it barely lifting my lips. Jake's plea deal had included only supervised visitation. He's not fighting anymore. Not since Beth testified about the phones she found ones with evidence of all his affairs. Not since Bill admitted to helping hide the offshore accounts. The facade the Harrisons had built crumbled faster than anyone could have imagined. Mia called. Anne says carefully, pulling me from my thoughts. She's testifying at the SEC hearing next week. I know, I reply, running my hand along the wall, already imagining where Rose's photos will go. She's braver than she thinks. Tom clears his throat. That marketing firm called again about the position. Tom, just think about it. You were great at your job before. His voice trails off, but I hear the unspoken words. Before Jake, before I let someone else define my worth. I will. I mean it, this time. But right now, I need to focus on Rose, on making this house a home. They leave reluctantly, Anne kissing Rose's forehead and Tom squeezing my shoulder. The door closes behind them, and for the first time in weeks, it's just the two of us. I carry Rose upstairs to her new nursery. The walls are still bare, waiting to be filled with memories we haven't yet made. Her tiny hand wraps around my finger as I lift her from the carrier, and a tight knot in my chest finally begins to loosen. My phone buzzes, Beth's name flashing on the screen, but I let it go to voicemail. Whatever amends she's trying to make can wait. Jake's last text sits unread. I never meant to hurt you. As if intention changes anything. Rose stirs in my arms, her eyes opening to reveal a face that's becoming more her own every day. No trace of Jake's calculated expressions or controlled smiles. Just us now, I whisper, settling into the rocking chair. But that's okay. We're stronger than he thought. A car door slams outside. Through the window, I catch a glimpse of Mia getting out of her SUV, carrying files for tomorrow's hearing. She waves up at me, and I wave back. Another unexpected ally, forged in the ruins of Jake's deceit. The doorbell rings, but I don't rush to answer it. Mia has her own key now, a symbol of how much has changed, of how much I have changed. Your mom called, Mia says when she finds us upstairs. Wanted to make sure you're really okay, being here alone. I'm not alone. I nod toward Rose, then toward Mia. And this isn't the house Jake built anymore, it's ours. She studies my face. No regrets about any of it? I think of Jake in his prison jumpsuit, of Bill's resignation from the bank's board, of Beth's tearful apologies, of all the women who came forward once the first domino fell. Only one, I say finally, that I didn't see it sooner, that I let him make me doubt myself for so long. Mia sets the files down on the table and pulls out the familiar USB drive. The lawyers say we won't need this anymore. Want to do the honors? I look at the small device that helped topple Jake's empire, at Rose, peacefully sleeping, safe in a world where her father can't hurt her, at Mia, who found her own strength in helping others find theirs. Keep it, I tell her, as a reminder that the truth always comes out, eventually. She slips it back into her pocket as Rose begins to fuss. Outside, the moving truck pulls away, leaving us to build something new from the ashes of what Jake destroyed. Not a fairy tale ending, far from it, but maybe something better. Something real, earned through fire and fury, and the quiet strength of women who refuse to break.